Hi, I'm Nathan with Health and Wellness's Food Nutrition and Basic Skills team, and today we'll be talking about the basics of knife skills. So what we're showing you today isn't the actual only way to use a knife. I've seen a lot of people use a knife kind of differently and still produce a really fine product. But our mentality here is that if you pick up these techniques, you'll find that you'll be safer in the kitchen, your cuts will be more consistent, and you might work more efficiently, saving you more time. So first we'll start off by holding the knife. What you want to do is you want to handle it over here. Most knives will have kind of this curve that's meant for your finger to wrap around, and then your thumb will come over the other side holding it as well. And this is to give you control over the entire length of the blade versus just holding it from the handle. So next we're going to talk about a stance when cutting. It might be placebo, but I know that some professional chefs recommend that you actually kind of stand at about a 35-degree angle to the table. So when you're cutting and your knife is doing that work, it's perpendicular to the table. We're gonna go ahead and begin by deconstructing this onion. How we're gonna wanna start off is gripping the knife the way we showed you earlier and putting your fingers in a claw so that when your knife comes down, you won't have any risk of essentially cutting off a fingertip. Cut off the root ever so slightly. Then we're gonna flip it around and cut off this end. The less you cut off, the more onion you have left. Setting it down on this flat surface, we're gonna go ahead and cut this piece in half. And we're gonna save one for dicing later. I'll put that to the side. And since we're gonna slice this one, we can actually cut off the rest of the root that was on there. Now that we have the onion here ready to slice, you'll notice that these ends are cut. You want to have the cut ends parallel with you, and then we're just going to go from left to right. Remember, putting your fingers in that claw shape, and then you're just going to come down using a forward motion of the knife, moving your fingers back as to not cut them. And you know, the finger distance, how far back you bring your fingers will actually determine how large or how thin it'll be. And at a certain point, for example, here for me, I'm not that comfortable continuing to go down like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tip it over and continue cutting this way. And yeah, once you're done, all of these pieces should come apart quite easily if you just kind of like grab them in your hand. If you want, you can individually pull them apart, but I just grab them like this. Now I'm actually going to show you how to dice an onion. So here we have this hard piece left over from the root, and what we're going to do is we're going to leave that and peel back the skin. So with the hard piece facing away from you, what you're going to do is the same technique as a slice. Come down. The point of the knife is really helpful, by the way, in getting in at this angle, since you're not just slicing, right? And you don't want to go all the way to the very end, but you want to go as far back as you can so that when you do go and cut, you'll get as much onion as possible. And when you get to the very end here, I think it's very safe to just kind of flip it around and come at it from this angle rather than trying to get that end from here. And just turn it. And this is where you can decide how big or how small you want your dice to be. For example, this is a very small dice, or I could do a very large dice, or I can do a medium dice. You can tell how all of these vary in a significant amount of sizes. It doesn't really matter for most home cooking, so you can just go ahead and experiment. And then you're gonna go back all the way to the end, and if you want, you could try and come down here, or you can just flip it over. And then you'll just cut off like this. And then that way you get as much onion as possible, so we have less food waste. So now that we've showed you how to dice and slice an onion, we're just gonna do a quick recap on all of the fundamentals we showed you today. So holding the knife, index finger wrapping around, thumb touching the blade. You might wanna try standing at an angle. You wanna tuck your fingers in so you won't have that fear of the knife cutting a piece of your finger off. You also, after every cut, want to come back and meet your knuckle. And when slicing, in order to let the knife do all the work, you want to do a forward and backwards motion. So thanks for tuning in. I'm Nathan from Health and Wellness Food Nutrition and Basic Skills program, and I hope you come again.